Welcome, one and all, to the second edition of the Warp Ring podcast. I'm Tangrowth. She is...
Plague.
We're going to get her name right this time. And so now it's time for our second edition, in which we're going to cover the Sonic Archie comics from... One second. I hate it when it's like this. Look, it's kind of... Just stop.
What?
When you're recording on Audacity, and then it's like all the way zoomed in at first, so it's like constantly moving in front of your face, and now it's like farther away. Anyway, in which we're going to cover issues 5 through 8 of the Sonic Archie comics.
So, looking at the cover here.
Looking at the cover, which has nothing to do with anything that happens. Anything. Well, there's one thing, is that it has Snively on it, who we see for the first time in this. And nothing else in this happens at all, because we are going to see robotization as quite a prominent theme going forward, and even, Sonic in a robotization thing, but we don't see anything like that in this at all. I feel like maybe the cover should be a lot, goofier.
Okay, well, anyway, what I was gonna say was looking at this cover before you interrupted me was that...
He thick boy?
No. When you look at this cover, you're like, oh, stuff might get serious now. And I kind of went into this volume thinking something would happen. Nothing fucking happened.
And then nothing happened.
Nothing happened. This was all just nothing.
It's more fluff. It's more of the same.
It's just goofy.
I will say that I liked this one better than the first one, I think.
I like this one better as well.
I mean, there's some definitely who gives a shit parts, but...
There's some stupid little one-off pages.
Well, that was in the last one, too, in the pinups.
I know, but...
He's really fast. The joke is that he's fast.
Yes.
It's not a joke.
And this, by the
Issues 5 to 8.
By issue 5, Boomer's name is changed to Roto. No.
Rotor?
Rotor.
In issue 5? No, in issue 5 it's still Boomer.
Is it still Boomer in 5?
Yeah, I don't know when that happened.
By the end of this volume, it changes.
I definitely noticed in 8.
End.
Maybe,
yeah.
Let me see.
I don't think they don't really say his name.
It's not like they take attention to it, It just kind of happens.
I also noticed a huge lack of Bunny in these.
She's in
there's
7th,
two.
I think.
There's two instances she's around, but one of these whole entire comics, the one where they take his shoes away.
Oh, okay. So in this one, he's already Rotor. I think this is issue 6.
When they take his shoes away, because apparently Sonic can only run fast because of his shoes.
Okay, let's just get into it chronologically. Starting with issue 5.
Give it to me then. I read this 2 days ago.
One second. It's the Olympic one.
Okay, as I was saying, in this first issue, Sonic's shoes are taken away by Robotnik.
Well, we don't even know the plot yet. I haven't explained the plot.
Wow.
Come on.
So the plot is they stumble upon the Robotnik Stadium, and Robotnik challenges them to, if they win any of the tournaments that they have, then Robotnik...
The stadium events.
The tournament, stadium event, whatever. Any of the events that Robotnik sets up.
This didn't come out anywhere near any kind of Olympics, as far as I know. Actually,
then
there was an Olympics in 1993.
Robotnik will stop trying to take over the world.
Yes. But if they lose...
Then
they get roboticized.
Wow. So Sonic's like, okay, no problem. I'm just gonna do everything myself anyway. And Tails wants to join. But then Antoine's like, no, you're not athletic whatsoever. And then Tails is all sad, really, really depressed looking for a panel. And then he's like, I'll make Sonic a statue!
Yeah, as you do.
So, okay.
That's something
that's fine.
I naturally think when I can't help my friends is I'm going to make a statue of one of my friends instead.
So a SWAT-bot swaps Sonic's shoes with Robotnik's special shoes that automatically just instantly exhaust you completely. Mm-hmm. So Sonic can no longer run. Mm-hmm. So then it's up to our friends to finish the Olympics.
But they can't because they're all worthless except for Sonic. None of them can fucking... It's because it's unplugged. The screen on the computer went on for a second. It's because it's not plugged in.
You might want to plug it in. I don't know how to charge this.
Well, the screen just turned off. I'll plug it in.
I know. Anyway, so it's up to our friends to finish the Olympics in place of Sonic.
Which they can't do because they're all incompetent except for Sonic.
Because they're incompetent except for Sonic.
I guess Sally is
Sally's not incompetent.
A good swimmer, but it's just the robot.
The robots are better. They can't be tired.
Yeah.
So that happens.
Splash water in her face.
It seems like all hope is lost.
And then
Tails is in a junkyard.
When it's like, oh, I'm gonna make a statue, and then he's just at a junkyard like.
He needs more scrap metal.
You went to the junkyard, so this is like two different layers of okay. Because it's you want to make a statue
for Sonic.
Okay. You want to go to the
He needs more scrap metal to make this statue of Sonic, so he goes to the junkyard.
We need to go to the junkyard to get the stuff, and he finds the shoes.
And the SWAT bot stupidly just threw the shoes away instead of what Robotnik wanted.
That was a plot point.
So he said, "No, I threw them away," and Robotnik's like, "You dumb fuck." Yeah. So then Tails is like, "Egads, I found." Actually, that's more of a Robotnik saying "Egads." Anyway.
Oh,
Godzooks! So Tails is like, "Oh my god!" He says, "Yow!" And he finds Sonic's super amazing shoes that make him run fast. Mm-hmm. So Antoine is trying to run, and he's
incompetent.
This bee-bot flying thing is like, "I'm just gonna sit by the finish line."
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna win right in front of this incompetent fool. And then Tails gives back Sonic's shoes, and Sonic makes the place all smoky, and then he can't see, and then the bee goes the other way, and then Antoine finishes.
So Sonic is incapacitated, and then Sonic isn't incapacitated, and he saves the day.
Now, my thought through this whole entire volume issue. This whole issue.
The comic itself?
This comic.
The issue?
The
issue
Olympic Trials and Errors is the name of this
story
in this issue that we just went through. Mm-hmm. This whole... I can't think of the word. This whole problem could have been avoided if Sonic was incapacitated. Oh well. Bring the half-robot bunny. And your whole thing would have been fixed.
I honestly didn't think about it.
That's what my thought the whole entire was. I was like, just bring Bunny. Why is she left out of this? It would be too easy to just have Bunny. She could run. She has robot legs.
It's weird because they could have come up with an excuse for why she wasn't there. They could have said, we hacked her legs.
Like in half of these things, she just doesn't exist. She's just not there for some reason. Like, oh, look, the group's all here except for Bunny. Bunny's not here.
So let's see.
So yeah, that was my thought the whole time. I'm like, just get Bunny. That'd still be no problem for Bunny. But no.
So one thing is...
maybe she couldn't have swam.
This is a special issue. It's one of these landmark issues. One of these landmark stories. It's a first. This is the first story not written by Michael Gallagher. Instead, we have a newcomer, Angelo De Cesare, who I think is probably another Archie guy. Just off the top of my head, I don't actually know. I feel like I read that once, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, he was the one who wrote this, and it feels exactly the same.
It feels like I don't notice any difference between the writing whatsoever.
Yeah.
Maybe there's less puns?
Yeah,
there's still puns, but there's a little bit less puns all the time. And there's a lot less like fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
That's the only things I really noticed between the writing.
So I was going to say, like... well, you were reading this all wrong, because it's not like his shoes give him the power. He's just wearing energy-draining sneakers. But now that I think about it, why couldn't he just take them off? And then run? Like, Really?
That too.
So I guess he really does need his sneakers to run. I don't understand.
Well, later in the there's another thing that points to his shoes later in the issue that we'll talk about.
Let's see.
Later.
Yeah, so Bunny is completely gone.
She's just gone.
Could definitely have done one of these events.
She could have ran. She could have done the lifting.
She could have done the long jump. She can fly.
The long jump one would be fine.
Weightlifting.
The only one I think maybe she couldn't do is like swimming because she's like a robot. So they could have been like, "Well, I can't do this one, sugar. I'm a robot."
Yeah, I guess she was. I don't know. It's weird because she's really treated like a secondary character in this series when she's part of the main cast.
She seems like she's supposed to be a main cast one. I mean, she got an intro and everything, and then suddenly she's just like
the interesting
around.
thing is that she wasn't around from the beginning.
Yeah,
like,
that too.
They could have just had like in maybe one of the mini issues that started this series is introduce her. But yeah, it's just a bunch of weird things. So the theme of this whole volume is Robotnik has a really wacky plan.
Yeah.
That's the theme. Is
every single
here's a wacky plan.
Here's some wacky, like seriously, like really weird.
They're all weird plans. So this weird plan is I'm gonna construct a giant
stadium and make a promise, and then I'm gonna fuck Sonic over, and then they're gonna lose, and they're gonna be robots.
They're gonna lose the games that I created. You could have just taken his shoes and then I don't know, shot him or something, like given him some. I don't know. They could have done that. They could have
and then,
found
sedate
some way.
him.
I don't know. I mean, it's whatever. It's like a goofy comic. It's gonna happen. I wasn't offended by this. There's just a lot of like contrivances, but it's just a dumb comic. It's like whatever. If it was taking itself at all seriously, I'd be a lot more concerned about these stupid things. Like, oh, I'm just gonna stop at the finish line. Whatever. Who cares?
I'm gonna stop here and gloat to the guy once he gets here.
And he's a robot. Like, why does the robot decide to be egotistic and be like, I'm gonna be the tortoise and the hare? Like, why? He's just a fucking robot. Although it does appear that all of his robots have free will, which is
all of his robots are kind of personable in a way.
Yeah. So Antoine does nothing, and here's an appearance by Splats the rabbit, which was a cut enemy from Sonic 1 that never appeared, but it was included in, I'm assuming, like style sheets. So they gave them to the comic creators, and that's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So this one-page thing with Boomer trying to touch his toes for 8 seconds and then spending the rest of the day trying to stand up, I thought that was cute.
Yeah, that's funny.
Not really.
So it's like, if you don't want to exercise because it takes a long time, just run around the world in a second. Done. Your exercise is done in a second. And
then the next story is, and this actually made me laugh, was Boomer comes in and is like, "Hey guys, look at this ad in the magazine. I can buy an ant farm." Like, okay.
Okay, Boomer.
And it's another instance of like, why are we doing this? Like, you're supposed to be fighting for freedom. Why are you just dicking around? Let's go make a band.
We're freedom fighters. Let's go make a band. Hey, look at this ant farm in this post-apocalyptic-esque world where everyone's turned into robots.
For some reason,
I'm gonna mail order in for
very
ants.
Excited. Also, ants, like, are insects not anthropomorphic in this universe?
I guess not. We've never seen an insect person.
So one of the very odd things is that the ant farm turns out to be another wacky plot because he knows that Boomer won't be able to resist.
Like,
to get an ant farm.
How does he even know that?
Why can't he just send them a package and then they'll be like, what's this? Because they're that stupid. Because they do it anyway. They have to have a preamble. Like, it's just an excuse. Like, of all things, an ant farm? Like, how do you know this is gonna work? What if it was like, I don't know, like secret freedom fighting weapons? I don't know, something like that. Something more believable than a fucking ant farm. Like, I get it that Boomer's like a dork, but like, well, I guess it ties in with what happens later, but whatever. So he sends a termite, and then it's like, oh, it's like a robot termite.
It's actually a robot.
And then Boomer's like, oh no, it's in my bug encyclopedia.
Yeah, he's like, oh, let's look.
But it's not a real one. It's a robot of it. I don't get it.
First, before they know it's a robot, they look. They're like, well, what is this? Let's see. Oh, it's a termite. Da, 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 da. And then later they're like, wait a minute, and they look at it.
It's
like,
actually a robot termite.
It's like, so why was it?
Yeah.
Was he just like a robot one that looks like a normal termite that exists?
I guess I don't. That's
so Robotnik
totally
could
makes
control
no sense.
it, or like what?
It's contradictory.
Yeah,
because it's like, is it a real bug that's
half
also
a second,
a robot? Like,
and then like a second
whatever.
later, now it's just a robot. It's like, okay.
But again, the plot of this is that Robotnik sets up a fake, like a ant selling mail-in group,
magazine mail-in,
mail-in.
Ooh, free thing if you send this in,
or whatever. I think he bought it actually. Let me see. Great ant farm this magazine is offering.
I don't know. It doesn't really.
That's all he really says. He just says he's mailing his order. So yeah, I guess he
mail
didn't.
order. He
well,
actually,
bought it. They said that money's worthless. So
yeah, money's worthless in this. So.
But also, they just have magazines in the post-apocalyptic world. Anyway. So the plot of this story is that Robotnik sends them an evil termite.
This robot
that's
termite
that's
going to eat all their wood, and then it's going to grow huge, and then it's going to eat the great whatever woods. I don't remember what it's called. Their forest that they hide out in.
And then
it's going to eat all the wood, and then
the solution is that Sally really sucks at cooking. So if the termite eats her cooking, then it'll be stopped by having its mouth whatever
because she
or
wants
something.
to make pancakes, but her pancake mix, she only added a tablespoon of water.
I don't know how you could do that. She
so
says
it
by
becomes
accident.
like cement.
Yeah, and this is established earlier on because
Sonic is trying to help her.
Storytelling.
Whatever. So they stuff a bunch of this pancake batter inside of a log, and then the termite eats it, and then his mouth is stuck.
And then his mouth is stuck, and then
Rotor
Boomer
Boomer is like, ooh, we're gonna do something. Let's reprogram this. And then they send it back to Robotnik, and he's like, oh, a present. So
I've never had a present before, only hate mail.
So he opens it up, and then they reprogram the termite to eat metal.
Isn't that ironic?
Isn't that ironic?
Thank you, Sonic.
Sonic.
So, yeah, not the best issue. This might actually be the best part of the whole thing. Where he's like, I'm so fast, I'm going to get there before she's even done saying that dinner's ready. And then, wait, it's going to get... And then he runs over and he just shoves it all in his face.
Shoves all this food, and then she's like, Sonic, why did you... Gulp.
Why did you eat all that wax fruit?
Why'd you eat all that wax fruit? And she's carrying his actual plate of food.
So that's
like, oh.
mildly amusing, I guess.
It's funny enough, I guess.
So, issue 6 begins with a tie-in for Sonic Spinball, which is a game you've certainly never played.
Never played. It's a very weird issue that just kind of is like, okay, now
also, Bunny's here.
Bunny's here in this
And she does nothing.
She does nothing.
Well, nobody does anything. It's like, I'm shutting down Robotnik Inc. And they're all... So, at the beginning of this issue...
oh, it's already shut down.
At the beginning of this issue, they're like, okay, we're just going to take the fight to Robotnik. Fuck it! Let's go get that ass. But then, it turns out that he's moved to evil volcano for Sonic Spinball purposes. So all of a sudden, after all this dicking around with the ant farm and shit, they're just like, let's go beat Robotnik. Like,
let's just take down Robotnik in issue 6.
Why didn't you do this like 3 years ago? If you could have. I mean, it's been like this for what, like 10 years, I think.
So yeah, it's kind of strange.
Yeah. Also, Antoine's hair keeps flying off. But anyway, yeah, so pretty much nothing happens after that. It's
nothing
just,
happens. Sonic is just
he goes to the volcano, and then he's involved with levels from the video game. Nothing really happens. But actually, there's one thing that happens, and I don't really understand why, is he meets these kangaroos called Hip and Hop. I don't remember them, but I feel like they do appear in the future at some point. Why are they there in the first place? Like, why are they involved? They're not from the game.
They're just some... what do you call them? They
don't even look like kangaroos.
No, they don't look like kangaroos at all.
They're pretty weird.
They're escapees or something. Robotnik calls them, and then they just leave. I was like, okay.
How kangarooed those two fugitives were, but I'll roboticize them after Sonic's demise.
And then they just leave. And
then there's, like, helpless animals, but then he doesn't save them?
He doesn't say. Well, he wanted.
Right? He's like...
Well, he was like, oh no, he wants to like go beat Robotnik and then save them, but he should have just let them go and then beat Robotnik so they could... I don't know.
He only goes through like one level and then he gets kicked out and then he doesn't immediately go back. He's just like, well, I feel like I'll go back to that volcano someday. And then it says, want to see more Spinball? Write to Sonicgrams. And I don't think they ever did anymore. So, yeah, total bust. And then here's an interesting, well, not interesting at all, thing where it's like, oh, a letter from a fan of Antoine who likes Antoine. Because I don't deny that this mail might have actually existed, because
they did that, mail letters and stuff,
yeah,
like Blue's Clues and stuff. They would, Blue's Clues.
I believe there was
mail.
Actually, now that I think about it, there was a part of every issue that was like letters from fans, and they maybe respond to them, or
they probably
have, like,
just didn't include
fan
those
mail,
in
and they
these.
didn't include them in these. So
Makes sense.
Kind of annoying. But then it turns out at the end that Antoine
was
like,
paying someone.
Thank you for your letter. I'm sending the check.
I'm sending you the check.
That's kind of funny. I didn't like this. Sonic's Christmas Carol.
And then it ended up just being a dream anyway.
Who cares? Like, it's a parody of a Christmas Carol. Like,
wow,
cool.
Well, it even said in the thing, it was like, well, it's been done a million times anyway.
It appeared in thousands of different versions, but mine is definitely the fastest. With this Sonic that looks a little jank. So
there's some, like, these faces sometimes. There's some.
We're still with Dave Manak through all
We're still
these.
with some strange faces. In this upshot of Sonic's nose, it doesn't look weird. He's looking up.
It looks a little weird.
It doesn't look that bad.
There's no nostrils.
Comparative. There's no weird nostrils. They have a lot of, like, half-lidded eye faces, and it looks really weird. Seriously, like, every time they make, like, this face half the time, I'm just like, they look kind of weird.
I'm just waiting for Art Mahoney to come in, because they do the Sad AM style really well. And they look a lot like Sad AM when they're doing it. I'm just waiting for them to come in, because I'm not a huge fan of Dave Manak. I think he's not really that good at drawing Sonic characters. But I mean,
sometimes
he does a good Robotnik, and it fits his style of being goofy and whatever. But I don't know.
He has a lot of faces and a lot of facial expressions. It's Robotnik. So whatever, he goes through the ghosts of Christmas past and future.
Christmas fast.
Whatever.
Nothing really happens.
They're all Sonic. Nothing happens.
Yeah, there's like Sonic sends a bomb to
happens.
him like 500 years in the future or whatever.
Whatever.
It doesn't
it's just
matter.
stupid. It literally doesn't matter. It ends up just being a dream from Sonic.
The only thing that interested me, I think, was they showed like a past sequence of like Robotnik and Sonic hanging out as children.
Yeah, I thought it was strange. I was like, wait,
that's not.
I don't think
thing.
that happened.
Yeah, I know that by the time in the Penders canon that definitely didn't happen, but who knows?
It was a cute little Christmas card. Oh, I thought Bunny's face. Look when you see this. This is one that looked really weird. Bunny's face looks like really weird in this little thing. Look at her face down here when she's caroling.
I did not notice this face.
Like a lot of her and Antoine, they all look kind of weird. It's a cute picture, but Bunny especially looks really
Antoine
weird.
just came out of the hot box.
Yeah, like they look really weird.
Yeah.
Like Bunny's
that
face,
issue was kind of a bust.
Bunny's face is kind of horrifying. She looks like a fox. Kind of, and her whole eye is just white, and she has a dot of black as her pupil. It's like kind of scary.
Yeah, it's like background characters in anime, where they have little detail.
Yeah, it's really weird. And there's a one-off, the cover. I'm a speed reader. What a novel idea.
What a novel idea. Yeah,
Then there's.
So this is issue 7 now.
Oh yeah, this is quite a large comic. Well, kind of story.
Which one?
So it starts off, Tails and Sonic make a seesaw. And Rotor is like, oh my god, a seesaw! And he jumps on it and slams, it's the treasure one.
Yeah.
And he slams Tails into the ceiling, and then a map comes down from, this is the first we're really kind of hearing
of Uncle Chuck.
We're
getting a little bit more of Uncle Chuck.
It's like, oh.
But it's basically like he existed.
He existed.
Well, he exists, but we don't really
anyway,
know that yet.
Well, we just assume he's kind of gone in some form. We don't really know how. I mean, we did see him in the Christmas Carol one, too.
Briefly, yes.
Briefly.
I mean, he's an established Sad AM character, so he's around.
So we get this map, and it's Mobius Natural Park. It's Uncle Chuck's treasure. And they're like, whoa, treasure. Oh, but Sonic, money is worthless now. And he's like, well, we don't know what it is because he's an inventor.
Yeah.
So they go on this thing. They go to the natural park.
So it's like they go to this park. There's pollution. And
the
then
park is
Robotnik
actually just disgusting
now.
And
then there's robots, and they beat the robots by using the pollution against them, and then they find the treasure, and it's nothing.
No.
Yeah. So.
No. So basically, they find the treasure, and then...
Well, it's something, but
they find the treasure, and the Robotnik steals it, and he's like, ha ha ha, and he flies away, and then Sonic's like, let him keep it anyway. But we better go. I just remembered that Uncle Chuck is real sentimental. And it ends up being like a gold-plated...
It's a bronzed copy of his baby shoes or something.
Sonic the Hedgehog's bronzed baby shoes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the end of the story.
Yeah.
Robotnik's pissed.
Not really a wacky plot.
It's, I don't know.
I feel like there's some light anti-environment, anti-pollution or whatever, but I don't really care.
And then there's a one-page comic where Shadow fights, where Sonic fights his shadow.
He's here already?
Shadow's here! Sonic fights
7 years
his shadow.
Too soon?
His shadow.
We don't need to talk about all those, just if they're interesting.
He's like, well, when you're faster than the speed of light, they take shadow boxing to a whole new meaning.
If he's faster than the speed of light, can't he just beat Robotnik? Because he's faster than time?
Yes, he should be able to just basically pause time, beat Robotnik up, fix everything, and then...
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Sonic's fast, that's all you really need to know.
And then there's another one page where it's like, oh... This is what the guy looked like who beat me up, and Robotnik draws out Sonic.
Totally. Oh my god, this one was weird.
And then...
This
next one, Sorceress in Distress.
At the beginning of this story, Sally's like... Well, first of all, they're like, let's have a costume party for literally no reason. It's like, it's not even Halloween.
Yeah, I'm like, what? We just had a Christmas issue, and
now
we're
just
doing
had a
this,
Christmas
like,
issue.
weird costume.
And now we're doing a costume party, which feels very jarring. But anyway... you'd think that they'd come the costume and then the Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Anyways, she's dressed as a sorceress
or a witch.
and she says, "I'm gonna go get a staff from the forest. I'm gonna just find one on the floor."
Sonic
and then she's like,
Antoine.
"Don't you fuckers come and help me! I don't need bodyguards. I'm a princess. I can handle my own shit."
Like, I can handle myself. All of a sudden,
and then she gets kidnapped.
And we're like, all right.
Within
and then she
2
immediately
seconds.
Robotnik doesn't know it's Sally. He's like, oh my god, she's so powerful. I'm gonna marry her. Then we could rule the world. Because a
geyser happens to rise a rock at the exact moment that she pretends that she's gonna do it, and Robotnik happens to see this somehow, and I guess he just has hidden cameras. How has he not found them by now? But whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And he falls in love because if he has a dark sorceress on his side, then he can take over the world or whatever.
And he has little heart pupils.
And he's now in love with Sally.
But he doesn't have feelings. Anyway, then he woos her.
Which is pretty weird.
He gives her...
Well, I don't know if he's like... If he really cares about her, or if he just wants to use her power.
No, he just wants to use the power.
So why even marry her?
I don't know. It's just a weird...
Why not take her and roboticize her? Then she'll do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's just a stupid, weird plot.
It's a bizarre plot. Well, actually, he looks a little swooning here. And he's got hearts around him, so...
Yeah, but he also says, well, I don't have feelings.
Another thing is I noticed in this one, which I don't think was in the last one, is that we get several explicit mentions of Robotnik enjoying, like, drinking motor oil and stuff.
Yeah.
It was in the Christmas one, too.
It was in the Christmas one. He was eating his, like, motor oil pudding.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Some kind of oil or something pudding.
Which is bizarre, because he's not a robot. He
has robot feet.
He's a Mobian, which is... Mobius is the name of the world. Mobian is the name of the humans. And, as we'll later find. But,
why does he definitely look the way he does? He has robot bits and pieces.
He has a robot arm.
He has feet, too, that are robot-y. It shows his feet sometime in this, and he has robot feet, and he also has screws that have been shown to come out from the sides of his head. And
well, that's fine. I mean, he's a cyborg. Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, but he's still a Mobian.
He is a cyborg.
Like,
there we go.
it's bizarre to think that he'd actually drink motor oil. Like, it's not like think of like Edward Elric drinking motor oil. Like, that's kind of strange. Like, he has robot parts, but that doesn't make him a robot.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, he's evil robot, whatever.
Whatever.
I guess that's
it's for baby children. You're not supposed to pay attention.
Who cares? And yeah, so he kidnapped. The first thing that happens is Sally gets kidnapped and Sonic has to go save her.
Yep, and Sonic was watching her anyway.
The most fucking weird thing that's ever happened. Sonic is like, I can go invisible now.
I can spin so fast, I'm invisible.
Why haven't you beaten Robotnik?
Which he never does again, ever.
If you're invisible.
Why doesn't he just kill Robotnik?
Just kill Robotnik. Go invisible. Like, it's like the freedom fighters want Robotnik and them to just spat like this forever and ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just like...
It's just stupid.
It's just the tone. You know, when we get into a more serious tone, they'll probably actively try to actually fucking kill him. But we're not there yet, so... we're just goofing around. But the weird thing is that the stakes are so high. Because it's like...
If you think about it, the stakes are high. Everyone's a robot.
All their family and friends have been roboticized.
And
they're the
underground.
only people left that are a resistance against this monster.
So,
who's taken over the world.
But everything's just a joke.
It's like, I don't know, like Mario and Bowser. Like, you could picture them goofing around with each other like this. But it's not like Bowser like rules the world. And he's like
Bowser
got a gun to Peach's head or something.
Bowser just wants to kiss Peach, you know? He's a good guy. He just wants to kiss
I'm trying to think of like goofy hero villain relationships. Like maybe like Kim Possible and Draken. Or what his name was? Was his name Draken? Because that wasn't very serious. Like, he didn't... I don't know.
Crabs and Plankton.
I guess so.
Or SpongeBob and Plankton. I don't know what.
I don't know. Anyway, so he goes invisible, saves Sally, and then she gets pissed off.
And then Sally gives him a kiss, and then she immediately beats him over the head with a stick. Whatever. For doing what she said not to do. So
this is my favorite. This is issue 8. So we'll get into it now. So Robotnik figures out that Crabmeat, his old companion, Crabmeat, also just a note, Snively,
a bunch of marbles
in.
Oh, the Christmas one.
In the Christmas one, Snively made an appearance, but that was non-canon. But that was the first appearance of Snively.
Yeah, suddenly he's just there. He's on the cover.
And then in issue 8, he's just there.
And then in issue 8, he's just here now.
But I think it's interesting that Crabmeat was his original,
his right-hand
his
guy,
right-hand man,
robot.
and he kills him.
And then he just kills him. He's like, okay, time to crush you. Bye-bye.
Because it turns out that Crabmeat has a collection of Sonic comics, of Sonic Archie comics.
So it's a little bit fourth wall breaking here. For
well,
whatever
this is Mike
reason.
Gallagher again, so.
That's
maybe you can tell, because they have different styles, like...
This is a little bit goofier. This is just goofier. This comic is goofier than
this
the rest.
one is funny, because it's just a bunch of random crazy shit that's going on.
There's a bunch of, like, Sonic is running, and then in his dust there's a bunch of, like, Marvel people.
Yeah.
Like, there's Captain
He leaves
America's
the competition
shield.
in the dust.
And then there's, like, oh my god, what's his name? Ghost Rider's head is just there. So... Here's some ideas, Robotnik, for how you can beat Sonic or something.
Yeah, Robotnik decides to kill Crabmeat because he's broken his rule of no laughing, even though we don't know for a fact he's laughed before. But anyway, the SWAT-bot has like a sick satisfaction from watching other robots being killed, which is great. And then and then the SWAT-bot, who's like, ha ha ha, kill him, bro. Then Robotnik's just like, he just throws him in because we need more parts. Like, we don't have enough parts. Like, you need to kill everything around. I don't know, he's crazy.
He's evil.
But anyway, so the reason why he was reading the comics was because he thought, what if Dr. Robotnik had superpowered robots to defeat Sonic and the Freedom Fighters?
Which
has nothing to do with anything.
It has nothing to do with the Sonic comics.
And it's not really much of an idea. Like, we've already been using superpowered robots.
What was the Salamander? That was a super powerful robot that was supposed to beat Sonic, but then he kind of got, I don't know, whatever.
On this site will be built an inefficient, unlicensed, outdated, toxic dumping pond. So, that's a good notice. Anyway, so he has like a TV show And first of all, the camera, I've noticed, ultra wide angle. It's another fat joke. So Robotnik stages a TV show, and he's staging it out by having Sonic be beat up by robots. So the first robot is Botman, aka Batman, and he beats up Sonic, but he doesn't really have anything.
And he
to
calls
do
him
with...
there by shining a little Robotnik face into the sky. Yeah, he shines
a little Robotnik face into the sky,
like bat signal.
I like being a power-hungry tyrant, but what I really want to do is direct. So we're seeing new sides of Robotnik here.
Robotnik just wants to be a director.
Yeah.
Or a dictator.
So the weird thing is that the part 1, I don't even understand why there's fucking parts. I really don't. So in part 1, it's like, oh, Sonic's been defeated. And then in part 2, it turns out, oh no, actually, Sonic killed the robot, but he propped him up just to fuck with Robotnik. Like, okay, this isn't a cliffhanger. I can turn the page. It's like, why?
Yeah.
It's like if you pretended like you were ending a book with a cliffhanger, and then there's just like
and then there's
3
the
more
next
chapters
chapter.
left. Like,
you're like, oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, he is defeated, but then we get a cavalcade of nonsense.
A bunch of different superhero knockoff robots.
Well, he tries to get Wolverine,
but
then they send Wolf Urkel.
Wolf Urkel.
An Urkel bot, who doesn't even try to hurt Sonic. He's just
there.
fucking Urkel. And he doesn't even do anything. He just goes snirk.
Snirk. I know.
I think this is great because it's a reference to...
It's just Urkel. He's just there in a Sonic
It's a reference to
comic.
the voice actor of Sonic from the TV shows, and there's Urkel. Whatever.
It's funny.
And here's the Spawn mower for Spawn, and the way he's defeated is that he pauses every couple panels to pose, which I thought was pretty funny.
It's weird. Like, okay.
Luckily, he stops every few panels to strike a pinup pose, so he's making fun of...
comics, how they're in...
Yeah,
I think they're,
making fun of the style of because in the early 90s, Spawn was one of the most influential comics because it had this like dark, edgy style that was replicated by a bunch of other comics. So I think that was what was going on.
And then he pushes him off a cliff.
I didn't notice this, but slow lane, fast lane, McFarlane. Todd McFarlane, Spawn. So this character is really over the edge. So yeah. And then we have, I don't know what this is. The first one, they have like a page where there's just a bunch of different ones, but I don't know what this one is.
Let me see.
Magbot. The second one is obviously Captain Marvel.
I know, this one's Captain Marvel, and then that's Mighty Mouse.
When
Mighty
they
Mouse.
barely even try. But the first one, I don't know who Magbot is. In the description.
Freedom fighter.
It doesn't really...
Valiant try.
Like, also, let's parody Mighty Mouse. Like, where's Iron Man? Not Iron Man. Iron Man wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, whatever.
Where's Captain America? Where's Hulk? I don't know. But they're quickly dispatched by Sonic.
Also, Crabmeat is still alive.
And Crabmeat is mysteriously still alive.
Even though we saw him get crushed to death.
He died.
And now he's alive.
Actually,
Robotnik flees on him.
Yeah. So he's back. He was there from the start?
Was he there from the start of all this madness?
He just suddenly appears at the beginning of part 2.
Okay.
He just suddenly shows up.
Whatever.
Hold on a second, Oval One. What's this pile of robot parts doing here? So anyway, Sonic defeats all the robots, and that's about it.
Yep, Sonic doesn't even try. He just defeats them all because whatever.
And then they use this as an excuse to make jokes about how...
There's other comics.
Tails makes a joke to not bag up this one yet because there's still more. Don't put your comic book in a bag and put it in the whatever. So yeah.
And he's flipping a page and it shows the end on the other side.
What's this one?
This is a short comic, a 1-page panel. Sonic the Hedgehog pin up. The drat, I left the 5 pin up, and they were bowling.
Whatever.
And it was...
Yeah, I'm gonna put that up on my wall.
Like, okay, it's really funny. Whatever. And the next one is A Little Song Goes a Long Way.
Oh, God. So this is the most wacky one so far.
This is really weird.
It's like
Robotnik. It's really kind of boring.
Well, actually, Snively comes in. So Snively makes his first real appearance, where he's in canon.
Yeah.
Appearance.
So,
also, I don't know why Sonic had a dream of a character that didn't exist yet.
I don't know.
whatever.
They're playing music. Sonic has
Maybe
a
we
guitar.
can pretend he was around.
And they're like, "Oh my God, Sonic! But music is not allowed anymore. Where'd you get it? Like, where'd you get it?" And then a single note. You see the single note fly all the way right into his ear.
No singing.
And he's like,
What are his rules?
He's like, "Sorry to disturb you while you're singing, Dr. Robotnik." And he has made a discovery of a shrinking ray, basically.
So Snively invents a shrinking ray.
But it only works for 1 hour.
But it only works for 1 hour, and Sonic and his friends are like, let's go start a band by going to the abandoned whatever.
Mobius concert hall.
And there's a bunch of instruments there, even though it was
obviously
a prominent
joke
place
in this
that you liked.
No, I didn't like it. I thought it was really weird. Bunny.
Oh yeah,
like,
the sax symbol.
Can I play cymbals and a saxophone? And they're like, why? She's like, "'Cause I'm the sax symbol of this team, Sugar." And she's
That's
like
fucking
posing.
hilarious.
And I'm like,
That's
why
awesome.
is there a sex symbol joke in here? Why is she sexy?
And it's also like obvious. Like even a kid reading that would either be like, what? They would either be confused or get it. So that's.
It's not like a deep hidden joke.
Yeah, it's like if you want to make adult jokes,
symbol.
it would probably be better to do one that you wouldn't get on your first listen.
It's just dumb.
But you read it and you immediately understand that there's either something weird going on that you don't understand or it's a sex joke. But either way, I think it's great. Because whatever. It's one moment of life.
Then there's music.
And then there's whatever.
Like,
who gives a shit?
And then they're all zapped. And then Robotnik has this bot-on-the-spot vacuum, which also turns them into robots if you're sucked up.
And they have...
and they run away from him.
Antics related to
tiny
giant instruments, whatever.
Not really. They're tiny, and then there's no instrument stuff, really. There's a box full of concert programs.
Which he just knows is going to have concert programs in it.
And they're running... And then they destroy his vacuum because he goes off the stage down into the orchestral pit. I don't know what that's called.
And then it's been an hour, and then they get bigger.
Then it's been an hour. He sucks up Sonic into this little mini vacuum that he has as well. And then it's been an hour. And then Sonic pops out of it.
And then he beats the bad guy.
And then they start playing music. And Robotnik screams.
And he's upset because they play music near him.
He screams and he runs away.
Yeah. And then that's how they do.
And then they shrink all of Robotnik's robots. And then they're all just in his office. And he's like, grr. I really don't have anything to say about this volume.
That's volume 2.
I thought it was kind of boring. I thought it would be a little bit more...
Substantial.
Due to the cover a little bit. I thought, oh, maybe something will happen. Nothing happened. Nothing fucking happened.
This cover has nothing to do with what happens.
Nothing like that happens whatsoever.
Half of these robots don't even happen.
Yeah. Nothing to say. It was a little bit less goofy, funny.
I like the Wolf Urkel joke was funny to me, and there's some scattered moments.
There's some things that are a little bit funny, but I didn't find whatever.
Nothing too compelling, nothing too interesting. Just goofy comic with your friends, goofing around, or having whatever.
No thoughts.
So I guess we'll just keep hoping for more to talk about.
Plot development.
But then the weird thing is that when we actually get to the plot stuff, eventually it'll get annoying. So, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. And now it's like...
I'm just reading a comic. I'm reading an Archie comic where nothing has relevance. It's just thing.
Nothing has importance.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's the thing. Because even in the first one, we had Bunny.
At least
in this
one,
all we have is like, Snively's here.
Snively's here.
Snively's here now. In 3 panels, he's here. In 2 pages, he's suddenly appeared.
There it is.
And with no introduction, no explanation.
And Boomer's name's changed.
And Boomer's name changed. And
to Rotor.
To Rotor. And
That's
and we still have the old design of Sally.
And then in the end of this volume,
they have little character bios.
But
they show.
And they show Sally's end design.
They show her old design, yeah.
And
I don't remember when she changes, so I feel like it'll come in the next one, but don't actually know.
Oh, Crab Meat was Dr. Robotnik's first loyal lackey.
Yeah.
And the SWAT bots are bulk of Dr. Robotnik's army is made of the armored laser-toting SWAT bots. These guys don't mess around.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, they do.
they
They make jokes. I'm an Orioles fan.
Yeah.
They mess around.
The Orioles
Bat
fans.
brain. Catter killer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all.
Not really a whole lot to talk about. I mean, we did talk about it, but it's mostly just summarizing.
It's because we went through the details of every
Yeah,
page
I mean, it's
of
really
this,
just like, Robotnik has a shrinking
Here's
machine
this.
and he uses it on Sonic and
Moral of the story
concert
of
hall.
this is a boring volume. I didn't...
Kind of boring.
I mean, it was
pretty boring.
Relatively boring.
Relatively boring. Not a whole lot happened. Not a whole lot to think about. Not a whole lot to worry
Nothing
about.
to digest.
Nothing to digest.
Think
nothing.
about.
You know, that's one thing is there's nothing deeper.
Yep.
There's nothing deeper
Like I
at
said,
all.
it's
Rather,
just reading.
if you just describe it,
Reading.
there you go.
Reading.
There's nothing to unpack. There's nothing to think
Here's
about.
everything.
There's nothing to, what does this mean in the grand
It's just
scheme
a
of things?
lighthearted...
What does this mean for the future? Like, at the end of this, you have no idea where it's going to go. Because it could go anywhere. It could literally go anywhere. It doesn't matter.
It hasn't gone anywhere.
It hasn't gone anywhere.
Like, there's no time. There's no...
It kind of
there's
feels
no
like the whole
sense
bunny
of
thing was like...
time.
Not even really... Yeah, I guess it happened, but it's not like she's been in every issue since then. It's not like
we don't
it was
really know
important.
when that happened either.
It could have happened at the beginning.
It could have happened right at the beginning, because this has no sense of time, no time flow, there's
and
no
we had
anything.
a video game tie-in that was boring, and the Christmas thing was stupid.
Stupid
so
Christmas.
That issue was
it was just kind of weird. That's all I have to say.
But yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for now. General vibe is we're bored.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's it, really.
Issues 5 through 8.
Kind of a bust, in my opinion.
Kind of a bust. So, you have any closing thoughts?
No, not particularly. I just...
You don't have a thing to say?
This is Plague. Oh, I forgot it. This is Plague.